Well, hello everyone, it's Rob from PMDG. Welcome aboard. You might be forgiven for wondering why it is that we are sitting here in the darkened cockpit of our Douglas DC-6. Well, that's an answer I'm about to shed some light on, because this episode is about cockpit lighting. There's a lot of dimmers on this airplane, so let's get started. One of the things that I really like about Microsoft Flight Simulator is the lighting model. If you've been a PMDG customer for years, you know that the lighting models we've worked with in other simulators have largely been hacks. And that makes it tough to really create a beautiful model and a beautiful environment. But what Asobo has done with this platform is simply extraordinary. Finally, we have a modern lighting capability. So one of the easiest ways to demonstrate that is this right here. Just turn on the flashlight and start pointing it around the flight deck. You can see the way the light plays off the ring around the compass. It's very convincing. It really is nice. And I think you're going to like that when you get a chance to jump into the flight deck of the DC-6. So, speaking of that, let's go ahead and turn the tablet on. Now, this airplane has a lot of dimmers. I've said this over and over again. To demonstrate that, let's put the ship on ground power by closing both of the contactors. And now we're on power. Alright, so let's hop into the captain's seat here, take a look at the tablet. When you look at the tablet, we know this ship has a lot of dimmers, and I mentioned it before, but sometimes that can be a little bit frustrating, especially if you're still trying to learn the airplane. So we gave you some quick configurations that you can use. We'll start off by using flood here. Now this turns on all the bright lighting. It really lights it up as bright as day. This is the setting you'd use sitting on a ramp doing a pre-flight. And it really shows off what Asobo has done. If you look, this light is actually an emitter, and the light is playing off the back structure of the flight deck and bouncing around to illuminate the whole thing. It really gives it a convincing look. If we switch to the red lighting, this gives you a nice soft red ambient glow. There's these squares back here. Those are also light emitters pushing light across the overhead panel of the airplane. It reminds me a lot of the DC-3 that we fly. There's really no panel backlighting like you'd see in a modern airplane. It's light that's washed over the surface of the panels to create illumination. The white lighting button here changes the panel lighting primarily to switch from red to white lighting. Some pilots prefer to have white lighting, some pilots prefer to have red. Personally, my preference has always been for as dark a flight deck as you can possibly get. I don't really trust pilots that like to fly with the cockpit lights turned up. Usually those guys are afraid of the dark. So anyway, we'll turn this off. I'm going to turn the tablet off because we get that out of the way. I don't want it filling the cockpit full of light. Now I'm going to give you a quick tour through some of the dimmers on the airplane. And of course we'll have to turn the flashlight on so we can see. But if we, referencing the view configuration that we talked about earlier, this is view number 7, the upper left eyebrow panel. And this dimmer right here is the cockpit floodlighting. You can see I'm just moving it a little bit at a time, and we get a nice smooth gradient increase in the lighting. And the lighting just looks very convincing inside the flight deck. So I'm going to turn this down again a little bit. There we go. All right, this dimmer right here that I'm circling is the backlighting for the radios. The 3 radios on the airplane are right here. They're attached to the bottom of the eyebrow panel, but they're not powered up right now because we're on a ground power unit, so we don't really need them. But looking at the overhead panel, again with the flashlight, you'll see we've got a gaggle of dimmers here, and they're scattered all over. So this here is the flight engineer's reading light. We've got the main instrument panel lights. Then a little bit lower here we have the magnetic compass backlighting. We've got the upper switch and instrument panel lights. And then tucked down here in the corner, this is where your engine instrument lighting is. And we'll go ahead and we'll start with this one. We'll turn that up, and we'll just sort of pan the shot down a little bit here and oh, sorry, turn the flashlight off. Then you could see that we've just added some red lighting to the engine instrument panel, and you can turn some red lighting up. This is the emitters that are behind your head, sort of projecting light across the roof of the airplane to illuminate the overhead panel. And then that second dimmer I just did, that's the white lighting on the main panel here. Now we'll go back, turn these down, turn that down, turn this one back up. All right, so I've just turned the red lights back up on the main panel, and on the left and right extremes of the panel, both the captain and the co-pilot each has a dimmer, and that dimmer adds red lighting to the panel. I'll need my flashlight to find this one. There we are, and rotate that one. And as you can see, that gives each pilot independent authority over the red lighting on his panel. And then each pilot also has a reading map light dimmer there. And it's actually really cool because you can see there's aluminum on the yokes here, and you can just see how the light plays off of that as you turn it up and down. So it shows a really sophisticated lighting model with reflective surfaces and things of that nature. So one of the other cool things that we've done is that we've added the push-to-test functions to a lot of the indicator lamps. These are Corey lamps. They're really early designs, but they're pretty common in the early Douglas and Boeing fleets. But you can see it's got an iris in it, and as I rotate it, I can cause them to dim, which is a realistic function. We wind up having to do that on the DC-3 when we go in and out of day and night transition periods. But you can see I can just rotate it here a little bit, and it'll cause the light to dim so that it's not quite so glaring. And the neat thing about the lighting model in the Asobo simulator, or Asobo's work in Microsoft Flight Simulator, I'm sorry, is that we can work with the dimming logic like that in order to provide a much more realistic cockpit ambiance. So you're going to have to spend some time playing with the dimmers as you fly along in this airplane. It's kind of neat. So now let's take a look at the exterior lighting on the airplane. And I'm going to go ahead and just turn on a bunch of the exterior lights so you can take a look at it. Now, this airplane was certified in 1946, and the lighting requirements and the lighting capabilities back then weren't quite as robust as what we have now. Airplanes now are lit up like cruise ships, but you've got some very, very dim lighting in the landing gear bays. We've got that on the DC-3, and they're just about useless. But the airplane's got its the sort of the standard strobe and beacon flashes. Now, this is a pretty cool thing. This wing light, I think, really shows off the true brilliance of Asobo's lighting model. So let me pull my magnifying lamp out here so you can see it. If you look at the way the light plays across the surface of that wing, you can see that it has a different texture and character to it as it plays across the painted surfaces and the unpainted surfaces, and you can see the folds and shape of the wing metal and the rivet lines, and that shows you just how robust and how complete the lighting model is in Microsoft Flight Simulator. And it's just something that as developers we've never had this before, and it's pretty exciting to finally have tools like this because it really helps our stuff to look good. So we'll be good citizens here. We'll go ahead and power the ship down as we prepare to end the lesson here. It's always important to make sure that the ship is depowered. We'll go ahead and turn the flashlight off. But anyway, that's your tour of the lighting system on the Douglas DC-6. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for flying with PMDG. Be well. Look after one another. We'll see you real soon.